Okay, ladies and gentle dudes all around the world, I'm having a legal battle right now with YouTube. They claim that one of my music videos, and now two of them, are too offensive to be put on YouTube. So I want to get your guys' take, and I'm going to bring this into the courtroom. I'm going to hire that one guy. I made a bunch of comments on, I forget his name, William or something like that. He just kicks ass in court. I might have to hire that math guy. What's his name? Judge, I forget his name. Anyway, Super Math. No, I actually teach at Super Math. I teach Sotoban, which is a abacus in Japan, but I don't really know how to do it as well as that Super Math guy. What's his name? Judge something or other. Anyway, I have one of his videos on my thing. I don't care to really remember people's names so much because we actually shared many lifetimes in many other galaxies and stuff. So I every time I think of their name, I just get these downloads of all the times I knew them before. So it's kind of hard for me to remember names. So anyway, I'm doing this with my hand camcorder, trying to do it at the same time because I'm not computer technical like all these other little kids. I have Robert, he's 10 years younger than me. He's doing my 4th and 5th music video for my next CD, but I'm not that technical, so I have to use my hand camcorder in my hand to show you that this is the video that they say is too offensive for monetizing on YouTube. So I want to see what you guys think because they allow me to have it on YouTube, but they say I can't monetize it. So first thing they did is they sent me a message that says this song is owned by Tim Janakis. And if you want to look here, my video page is called Tim Janakis. So right there, Tim Janakis. Okay, so I said yes, it is owned by Tim Janakis, and I am Tim Janakis. That's why my website's called Tim Janakis. That's why my radio show is called Tim Janakis. That's why my YouTube page is called Tim Janakis. That's why my business cards are called Tim Janakis, because I am Tim Janakis. And if you ever look online and find another Tim Janakis, he's not the real one, I am. So they said okay, and they took off the copyright violation hold. And then I tried to monetize it, and they said, we're sorry, this video is too offensive for YouTube. So I want to get your take on it. The song's called Believed to be Linked to ISIS/CIA or Al-Qaeda, otherwise known as Al-Qaeda. So here it is, Obama's War on Terror, aka George Bush. There's Hillary Boom Boom, Clinton I Bomb Children. There she is, but the children's gonna punch her in the face because he knows she bombs children too well. Like these ones they bombed in wherever they bombed last. I can't remember all the places they bombed. They keep bombing. This is the carpet bombing, cluster bombing. So the song says cluster bombing their homes again, but they're believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda. Their children killed in their homes again. If you care for their humanity, we'll inundate you with profanity. If you question this insanity, you're believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda. Okay, I haven't found anything offensive in this video so far, have you? War is terror. That's a correct statement. With the greatest form of terrorism, how many more kids have to die? No, I think war is offensive too. But okay, I'm not going to go on right now because I want to give you a little more commentary before we finish why 3 buildings fell with only 2 planes, which is historically impossible and psychologically impossible and physically impossible to this World Trade Center number 7 can't fall unless a plane hits it, but no plane hit it. But the other 2 planes that have supposedly hit the other 2 towers made the buildings fall. First time in history, even though lots of planes got hit buildings. So what I'm asking is so far, have you seen anything offensive? I haven't got into the real nitty-gritty of the meats of the potatoes of this video. But has anything been offensive yet? Okay, so we have the commander-in-chief of the nation, or of the corporation called the United States of America, who gives a speech called I have a drone, I have a dream, and he's making references to MK Ultra, Martin Luther King. I'm trying to sugarcoat this video because everything I say seems to be what Gandhi called speaking, what did he call it again? Anyway, he called it speaking out loud. No, thinking out loud. So every time he got booed off stage or kicked off stage, Gandhi said, "I'm sorry for thinking out loud." But sometimes it's important to think out loud. So every time I try to think out loud, I try to sugarcoat it because I know this is going to be on YouTube and you guys are going to find it offensive. So I'm trying to sugarcoat it, but I took too much truth serum with Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. So I have to speak the truth because that's what my mentor says. In other religions, it's required, or it's not allowed. You're not allowed to lie. But in Buddhism, it's the only religion that he says that Buddhism takes it one step further. You're not allowed. You are. What is it? What did he say exactly? What it is? I'm trying to think of the exact words. Okay, he says, in other religions, you're not allowed to lie. But Buddhism takes it one step further. This is his dialogue with Hazel Henderson, which I think is a great dialogue. It's one of the many, about 100 I've read so far. I want to read the other 400 or 500 dialogues he has published, but I have other things to read right now. But anyway, we'll get to those. So the one with Hazel Henderson, he says, Buddhism takes it one step one step beyond what other religions do in or saying you shall not lie. Buddhism requires you to speak the truth. So that's what I try to do. But in order to speak the truth, Gandhi says, you have to sometimes think out loud. And every time he thought out loud, they would kick him off stage. So I'm trying to think out loud at the same time I'm trying to sugarcoat it because I know this is going to be on YouTube and YouTube doesn't like the truth too much. So I'm trying to tell the truth. So it's hard for me to say the chief of the United States, whether it's George W. Bush, I stole 2 elections, or it's Obama, my corporate puppet heads paid for the last 2 elections, who both invoke the Hitler lie of we can bomb other countries in the name of Homeland Security. So who used that lie except Hitler? And everyone's condemns him, but then George Bush says, oh, but Homeland Security requires us to attack Afghanistan and Iraq. So it was okay for him to say it, but it wasn't okay for Hitler to say it. But then it's not only okay for George Bush to say it after he stole 2 elections, but it's okay for Obama to say it because he's half African American. So that right there, he's no longer privy to speaking the truth because he is putting Martin Luther King on a pedestal. And anyone who puts Martin Luther King on a pedestal or Gandhi on a pedestal or Shakyamuni on a pedestal, or they put Nichiren Daishonin on a pedestal, or they put what's the guy? I don't want to say his name because ISIS might, CIA, aka ISIS might come after me if I say the other guy who they put on a pedestal. But anyway, I'm not going to say his name in vain on this video because I'm trying to speak the truth. So I find war to be the most offensive thing, but yet we have all these. So this brought up a question. I had an earlier video called "What's the difference between a cult and a religion?" And there's really no essential difference between the cult and religion, but I tried to play on both sides. So I was playing the devil's advocate, and then I was playing the Buddha's advocate. But I won't tell you which one is which. You'll have to figure that out yourself. So there is good cults and bad cults, and there is good terrorism. No, there isn't good terrorism and bad terrorism. So what's the difference between war and terrorism? Just like the religion, a cult is a religion that is too small to be recognized by the government. A religion is a cult that has been recognized by the government. And that's the same with terrorism. Terrorism, when it's small beans, when it's only a few people killed, then it's considered terrorism. But when it's a whole country totally devastated with carpet bombing and blowing up women and children in their homes while they're sleeping, then it's called war. So that's the only difference between war and terrorism. War is a bigger budget and it's approved by a government. So once your terrorism gets so big that it gets approved by a government, so also 9/11 we know now was not terrorism, that was war. That was psychological warfare on the people of the United States by the U.S. government. So when you're doing psychological MLK operations of crashing 2 planes and knocking over 3 buildings like it's a bowling pin, then you have to call it terrorism because you don't want anyone to know what it really was. But the only difference between war and terrorism is war is directed by a government. But we know that an only way to knock over 3 buildings with 2 planes is to be officially sanctioned by governments. And it was actually more than one government, but we won't get into that. So that's what this video calls into question. So is that, asking a question now, is that really, after 1984, is that really something that's not allowed on YouTube, to ask a question? So I'm going to ask that question a little bit longer on this video, and we're going to go to see what you think. And then I'm going to show you the new version of it, because I thought maybe this was too offensive, because I called it ISIS, CIA, Al-Qaeda.
Bush read a book to kids instead. He's believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda. Believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda. A bearded man in Afghanistan carried out his little master plan. Conspiracy on the news at 10. It's believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda.
I like the timing. The video is exactly 444 minutes. I love those triple letters, triple numbers.
Are we asleep? Are we stupid? How long will we take their lives? Was the greatest form of terrorism. How many more kids? How many more kids have to die? Repeating lies 1,000,000 times will never make them true. Some will see through your masquerade until the only fool is you. To start investigating, cause it's believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda. They destroy the evidence while we're waiting, cause it's believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda. Believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda. Just ignore the friendly wiretaps. From war profits all will benefit. Guantanamo style concentration camps never leave to be linked to Al-Qaeda. Believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda. Are we asleep? Are we stupid? How long will we take their lives? Was the greatest form of terrorism. How many more kids? How many more kids have to? How many more kids have to die?
Okay, so that's the most offensive video you've ever saw, or what? Okay, so I guess speaking the truth is now considered an offense of, I don't know what, national security? You can't speak the truth anymore on YouTube. Okay, so what I did after they said I can't monetize this one because it was offensive, what I decided to do is I thought maybe reggae is offensive. I couldn't find out what's offensive in that one. So what I did is I put up a new version. Actually, it's an older version. And I put up the original copyright I made on back before YouTube, when I first put it up, when I first did acoustic version of it with the co-writer with me. He wrote the acoustic guitar part. I wrote all the lyrics, and I wrote the melody. His name is Richie Gill. I used to play with him in Sendai for about 3 years. We played a bunch of shows almost every Thursday and Saturday night at all these different clubs until I almost got fired from my job for it because I worked for the government, and the government doesn't want you to do love bombing, which is what music is. And I'm starting a new cult so that the government can't fuck with me anymore. It's called the what is it called? The Cult of love bombing from outer dementia. So, because once you start a cult, you can get big enough, you can become a religion, then the government won't fuck with you. So I'm going to start a cult so I can start speaking the truth, because you're not allowed to speak the truth anymore. So what I did is I put this one up. Okay, this is the one believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda, which is acoustic version, not reggae. This was the original written way with Richie Gill. But I used the same video. So is it the words? Is it the presentation of the song?
Children killed in their sleep again. They're believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda. Cluster bomb in their homes, but they're believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda. Believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda. If you care for their humanity, they'll inundate you with profanity. If you question this insanity, you're believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda. Believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda. Always sleep, always
This is the version that first came out in about 2006 or 2005. Oh no, 2007, sorry.
How many more kids have to die?
I first put it up before YouTube was around. It was called Google Video. So I have the 2007 copyright on this song because I first published it when we did it acoustic before it even went into the studio.
Push right up to kids instead. He's believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda. Believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda.
This time I decided not to put the ISIS, not to put Al-Qaeda. I put believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda, which is the longest word ever used on the news media over and over and over and over again to justify almost any insanity or act of terror against anyone else in the world that we don't agree with. But it's a fine enough word for the newscasters to use, believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda, to pretty much apologize in their apologetic coverage of terrorism on a grand scale, aka war. But is it not okay to use a title in the name of a song called believed to be linked to Al-Qaeda? I didn't put CIA data on this one time. So what does YouTube do? They send me a letter that says, we're sorry, but this song is owned by Tim Giannakis. And I'm like, oh, really? So the last letter you sent me that the song was owned by Tim Giannakis, and I am Tim Giannakis, and you finally let go of that claim because you said you are Tim Giannakis and you certified that I'm Tim Giannakis. I have an official YouTube certification that I am Tim Giannakis. Even though I don't have a birth certificate called Tim Giannakis, I don't have a passport called Tim Giannakis, I don't have an ID called Tim Giannakis because I'm an infinite being from time without beginning and I don't have those things under my real name. I have it under my fake name, which is my corporate name. And my corporate name was Tim Giannakis, spelled Giannakos, when I was under duress, given at the age of 5 hours. At the age of 5 hours. I was given at the age of 5 hours a birth certificate under duress. And I didn't even get a chance to sign it. So they created me as a corporate entity as Timothy Giannakis, Giannakos, which was I was named after Timothy Leary because my dad was tuning in, turning on, dropping out. But I wasn't asked whether I wanted to be certified as a live birth, as a corporation, as a fictitious entity called Timothy Giannakis. So later on, my mom got married and she ran away from my LSD selling father, and she called me Timmy White. And I went by that illegal name or unregistered name for a while because we were in hiding from my dad for about 8 years until my mom got married again. And then I became Tim Giannakis. No, I became Tim Van Kempen, sorry. But there is another Tim Van Camp, and there's a couple other websites for Tim Van Camp, and he's an artist. So I decided when I first published my novel that I didn't want to use another artist name, just like David Bowie didn't want to use Davy Jones because that's his real name, because Davy Jones in the Monkees was starting to get really famous. So it's not really good to use a famous artist name when you're becoming a famous artist. It doesn't really work that well. So I decided to use the name that I chose before being born, which was Tim Janakis, as in Japan, Janakos. So I don't have a passport. I don't have ID. I don't have a birth certificate. I don't have any official register, but now, ladies and gentlemen, YouTube has officially certified me Tim Janakis, and they have approved this song and the other song as owned by me, as the real Tim Janakis, the real McCoy. Please stand up. Would the real Tim Janakis in the house please stand up? That's me, okay? So then after that, they released the copyright claim. Then they sent me another notice that this video is, what do you think? Too offensive. So I don't know if it's this whole, because this, he says Osama, you home? And I don't know if that's like because they're worried about MLK or MK Ultra, aka Obama, I have a drone speech or something. I don't know. But anyway, so let's do this. Let's go a little longer, because maybe it's this cat, or maybe it's this girl's boobs. I think they're nice. Or maybe it's all these American flags with coffins because they weren't supposed to show the coffins on the radio or TV in the media. Or was it these guys in gas masks because they say war is terrorism? I've looked through this over and over and I can't find anything offensive. So if you guys can help me out here, I'm bringing this to court with YouTube. This is their official serving. I'm going to send this video along with a summons to the International Court of Justice in The Hague, because I am a YouTube, what am I? I'm a YouTube partner. And I am also a private citizen of the world, and I am given diplomatic immunity from prosecution under the Nuremberg Nuremberg refugee status or something. I forget the exact law that we use to agree with me, because I don't have a country, because the country I lived in now thinks I'm a terrorist. And the country I used to live in thinks I'm a terrorist, because I published my first volume of my Speaking Truth to Power from Soka University, and that's when I was forced to move out of the country. And then I worked for the government of Japan for 5 years, but then I wasn't allowed to be rehired because I was love bombing. I started a cult of love bombing, which AKA means guerrilla theater. I play at different stations, and the police have kicked me out of about 50 stations. I should turn this down a little. So, as you can go, if you go look at my YouTube videos under the heading All Tour of Japan, I forget what I called it, but anyways, I do love bombing, which is on the Cult Watch web group, is the only way to become a cult, other than claiming Jesus is an alien, and I don't think Jesus is an alien, so I'm going to do love bombing because I'm trying to start a new cult, because I want to, after I start a cult, once it gets big enough, it's going to become a religion, and all religions started as cults, so I want to do the same thing. So it's going to be called the, I just forgot it now. Oh yeah, the Cult of Love Bombing from Outer Dementia. And if you're wondering where Outer Dementia is, it's right next to Kuanganjo. It's on a mundane planet much like the one we live on today. But Outer Dementia is one of the only part of that cluster of planets that actually isn't subject to the dementia of the other planets. Like planet Earth is, suffering from great dementia on all levels, both physically, spiritually, and psychologically. But this is one of the only planets in this cluster of planets next to Kuanganjo, next to the Buddha of Time Without Beginning, new theme park. And this one is the only planet within that cluster of planets that's outside of the dementia zone. So we call it outer dementia because everyone else has dementia no matter where you go. I've been on planet Earth for almost 44 years now. Actually, it is 44 years. Wow. No, okay, that's this time around. I was back in the 1600s, I was in England. And then back in the 1200s or 1300s, I was in Japan. And then back in the, I think it was the 800 or 8700, I can't remember now, I was in Greece. But all those 3 times I was on the U.S., I was always subject to the dementia on that particular cult of that particular culture. But I'm actually, when we founded this new planet, outer dementia, we put like a tractor beam around the planet so that we wouldn't catch the dementia of all the other planets, because the worst dementia actually is planet Earth for this part of the galaxy. So when they send us here, they put like this big cloak around us so we don't catch the dementia of this planet. Because the number one disease on this planet